ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतिरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। 327:15 मन्यमानस्तदात्मानं नष्टो नष्टवन् मृषा नष्टे हङ्करणे दृष्टा नष्टवित्त इवातुरः. The living entity can vividly feel his existence as the seer, but because of the disappearance of the ego during the state of deep sleep, he falsely takes himself to be lost, like a man who has lost his fortune and feels distressed, thinking himself to be lost. Only in ignorance does the living entity think that he is lost. By attainment of knowledge, he comes to the real position of his eternal existence. He knows that he is not lost. An appropriate example is mentioned herein. Nashta vitta ivaturaha. A person who has lost a great sum of money may think that he is lost, but actually he is not lost. Only his money is lost. But due to his absorption in the money or identification with the money, he thinks that he is lost. Similarly, when we falsely identify with matter as our field of activities, we think that we are lost, although actually we are not. As soon as a person is awakened to the pure knowledge of understanding that he is an eternal servitor of the Lord, his own real position is revived. A living entity can never be lost. When one forgets his identity in deep sleep, he becomes absorbed in dreams, and he may think himself a different person or may think himself lost. But actually, his identity is intact. This concept of being lost is due to false ego, and it continues as long as one is not awakened to the senses of sense of his existence as an eternal servitor of the Lord. The Mayavadi philosopher's concept of becoming one with the Supreme Lord is another symptom of being lost in false ego. One may falsely claim that he is the Supreme Lord, but actually he is not. There is a last snare of Maya's influence upon the living. To think oneself equal with the Supreme Lord or to think oneself to be the Supreme Lord himself is also due to false ego. So we've discussed this before. Our whole existence in this material world is due to this false ego. Otherwise, we could not have entered this material realm. Our real ego is to be aware that we are Krishna's servants. And if that real ego is not covered, then we can never stay in this place for even a moment. And now this whole process of bhakti is to purify that false ego and make it real. And to the extent of our purity, to, to that extent, we will uh, serve Krishna and eventually feel separation from him. Because real ego means can't be separated from Krishna even for a second moment. But because we are in false ego now, we have no feelings of any separation from Krishna. In fact, we want that separation. That's why we come here. So as this false ego, uh, as we get rid of the false ego and real ego manifests, uh, or the covering goes off, we will feel separation from Krishna as well in course of time. Anyway, so point here is the living entity is never lost. Everything, our current situation is more mainly driven by the false ego, and that's why we seem to be lost. Evam pratyapam rishyasav atmanam pratipadyate sankarasya dravyasya yovasthanam anugraha. When by mature understanding one can realize his individuality, then the situation he accepts under false ego becomes manifest to him. Mature understanding. After a lot of practice of bhakti, we'll come to this mature understanding. Then we realize that actually I'm the jiva, I'm not this body. The Mayavadi philosopher's position is that at the ultimate issue, the individual is lost. Everything becomes one. There's no distinction between the knower, knowable, and knowledge. So this is about merging into Krishna. But by minute analysis, we can see that this is not correct. Individuality is never lost, even when one thinks that there are three different principles, namely the knower, knowable, and knowledge, are amalgamated or merged into one. The very concept that the three merge into one is another form of knowledge. And since the perceiver of knowledge still exists, how can one say that the knower, knowledge and knowable have become one? The individual soul who is perceiving this knowledge still remains an individual, both in material existence and in spiritual existence. The individuality continues. The only difference is in the quality of the identity. In the material identity, the false ego acts. And because of false identification, one takes things to be different from what they actually are. So, this is another way of understanding false ego. One takes things to be different from what they actually are. False identification. That is the basic principle of conditional life. Similarly, when the false ego is purified, one takes everything in the right perspective. This is the state of liberation. It is stated in the Ishopanishad that everything belongs to the Lord. Ishavasya sarvam. Everything exists on the energy of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Because everything is produced of his energy and exists on his energy, the energy is not different from him. But still the Lord declares, I am not there. When one clearly understands one's constitutional position, everything becomes manifest. False egoistic acceptance of things conditions one, whereas acceptance of things as they are makes one liberated. The example given in the previous verse is applicable here. Due to absorption of one's identity in his money, when the money is lost, he thinks that he is also lost. But actually, he is not identical with the money, nor does the money belong to him. And the actual situation is revealed, we understand that the money does not belong to any individual person or living entity, nor is it produced by man. Ultimately, the money is the property of the Supreme Lord, and there's no question of its being lost. Which means that Supreme Lord will just take that money, give it to somebody else who will possibly use it more appropriately. That's all. But as long as one falsely thinks, I am the enjoyer, I am the Lord, this concept of life continues and one remains conditioned. Hmm. I'm not the enjoyer, I'm not the Lord. As soon as this false ego is eliminated, one is liberated. Again, we discussed this to the extent we are living in this mood. I'm not enjoyer, I'm the Lord, I'm not the Lord. To that extent, we are liberated. And it's very, very subtle, actually. Every day I see that subtly there is some, for some, there is gross enjoyment. For some, there is subtle enjoyment. For some, there is gross demonstration of I am the Lord. For some, there is subtle demonstration of I am the Lord. But yeah, gross is still further away from subtle. But even after coming to subtle, there is still some time before even the subtle disappears and we come to the pure state. And we don't have to worry. I mean, simply we have to just not fuel this false ego. This is the only thing we have to take care. But simply by doing bhakti under the guidance of you know, Guru and senior Vaishnavas, we will actually come to this stage of a real ego. Because the process of bhakti is very powerful. But the only thing we should take care is that we should not fuel this sense of false ego. We should not fuel this mood of enjoyment. We should not fuel this mood of being the Lord. So it's that as long as we take care of that, the other things will not automatically happen. As confirmed in the Bhagavatam, situation in one's real constitutional position is called mukti. Devutiruvacha. Purusham prakritir brahman na vimunchati karhichit anyo anyonyapashayatvacha niyatvad anayo prabho. Shri Devoti inquired, my dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is this separation possible? Hmm. Hmm. So Kardamoni said that we have to give up this false ego, etc. So now Devotee is asking, is it ever possible at all? Because they seem to be attracted to each other eternally. Although one may understand that spirit, soul, and matter are different, their actual separation is not possible either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. Matter is the external potency. The two eternal potencies have somehow or other been combined. And since it is so difficult to separate one from the other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, one can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of soul. See, so nice. As long as the soul and body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there's no manifested existence of the body or the soul. So she is asking that they seem to be eternally attracted. How will they be separated? This question asked by Devahuti of Kapiladev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. And the voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, material combination dissolves. And therefore, there is ultimately nothing but voidness. The absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavad philosophy. यथा गन्धस्य भूमेश्च न भवो व्यतिरेकतः अपां रसस्य च यथा तथा बुद्धे परस्य च. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. Example is given here that anything material has an aroma. Flower, earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter, matter cannot be identified. If there's no taste to water, water has no meaning. There's no heat in the fire, fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. Meaning there can't exist. These things can't exist separately. अकर्तु कर्म बंधोयम पुरुषस्य यदाश्रयः गुणेषु सत्सु प्रकृते कैवल्यं ते स्वतःकथम्. Hence, even though he is the passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Although living entity desires freedom from the contamination of matter, is not given release. Actually, as soon as a living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of nature and he becomes passive. So the soul is not the doer, it's the modes. Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed, Prakrite Kremanani Gunaihi. Living entity acts according to the qualities of modes of nature. He falsely thinks that he is acting, but unfortunately he is passive. In other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. So, jivas have no opportunity to get out of material nature, control of material nature, because they are conditioned by material nature. They don't have the strength to get out of the control. Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. But also Krishna has given the solution. One may try in different ways to think that everything is void in the ultimate issue, that there is no God, and that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. This speculation may go on, but actually it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Devotee poses the question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? The answer is also found in Bhagavad Gita. Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. One has surrendered himself under the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Krishna can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Since devotee is gradually coming to the point of surrender, her questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as he is strongly held by the modes of material nature? Is also an indication of the false meditator. So we can understand this also. If we are still feeling that we are very tightly under the control of material nature, it just means that we are still gradually coming to the point of surrender. Uh, Stage of full surrender, there won't be any control of material nature on the jiva. So till we feel the influence of the modes, that means that we have still not come to the point of full surrender. Then many so-called meditators who think I'm the spirit, supreme spirit soul, I'm conducting activities of material nature, under my direction sun is moving, moon is rising. They think that by such contemplation they can become free. But it's seen that just 3 minutes after finishing such nonsensical meditation, they are immediately captured by the modes. Immediately after his high sounding meditation, meditator becomes thirsty, wants to smoke or drink. He's under the strong grip of material nature. Yet he thinks that he's already free from the clutches of Maya. This question of devotees is for such a person who falsely claims that he is everything, that ultimately everything is void, and that there are no sinful or pious activities. These are all atheistic inventions. Actually, unless the living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya. So very clear. Only full surrender will free us from the clutches of Maya. Until then, to the extent of our surrender, we are caught up by Maya. So solution is very simple. We have to simply fully surrender. And now this fully surrender is the desire of the Atma. So when as the Atma we desire that no, I want to completely surrender to the Lord and depend on Him, to beg for His mercy to get us released from Maya, then Krishna will do the needful. Because that is surrender, dependence on Krishna. Krishna, I want to get out of your influence of your Maya. Please help me. Then Krishna will do. Otherwise, we'll say, no, 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 Krishna, actually, you know what? I want to get out of the clutches of Maya. But some aspects of this Maya is also nice. So let me not become fully free. Mm. So then Krishna will say, okay, as you wish. So getting out of the clutches of Maya is simply an act of simply complete surrender to Krishna, complete dependence on Krishna. Maya is very forcefully captured us, but when we completely helplessly surrender to Krishna, depend on Him, beg for mercy, Krishna will order release. Krishna will order our release from Maya. But from my own experience, I've seen that actually we don't want the release. We still are enjoying, have some sense gratification. We are still having gratifying our senses uh, through Maya, and so we are actually not wanting complete release. So, for example, mm, say somebody is caught up by material desires, lust, etc. He still fosters those. He still thinks, yeah, yeah, this is nice. This is giving me happiness. So till that devotee, Krishna, till the devotee comes to the stage of saying, no, 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 I don't want this. These are actually impediments. These are blocking my progress. This is preventing me from achieving Krishna. And then come and fall at Krishna's lotus feet, Guru's lotus feet, and say, please, I want all this nonsense removed. And then Krishna will ask, are you ready to give it up at any cost? Then big question comes, what is the cost? Am I ready to pay to get rid of this? Because I'll have to pay for it, because when I get rid of it, I'm going to get something invaluable. It's Krishna. So then we are reluctant. We are afraid. We don't have faith. Mm. So one who comes saying that no, no, whatever it is, I don't care. Please remove all this, and I want only you. I don't want anything else. Only for such a devotee, Krishna will remove this. He will become free from Maya. Because we will think, oh yeah, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, then we'll think, yeah, yeah, I'm already surrendered. Sarva Dharman Parityaja means all those 6 angas. Anukulyasa Sankalpaha, Pratikulyasa Varjanam. This is the basic. This is the beginning. Beginning is to say, okay, I'm not going to do anything which is not favorable to Krishna consciousness. I'm going to do only things which are favorable to Krishna consciousness, which means that if something seems, unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, even if it means letting go of some material, like for example, somebody is working and they're having to work 14, 16 hours, which obviously means they can never come closer to Krishna. We don't need to work like a donkey. If they decide, no, 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 this is unfavorable, I'm going to give it up. Then obviously the ordinary devotee will think, no, 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 but what, I'm getting so much money from this. What will happen? Actually, we don't need so much money. That also we know. But we still have that attachment to money, and we don't have full faith in Krishna, etc. So then, we might be reluctant. No, 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 it's okay. We have to balance. Devotees say we have to balance material and spiritual life, and we bring up all kinds of, arguments against surrender. Mm, So we should understand. First thing is to at least take decisions which are favorable, which can at least help us make progress. If we are taking decisions which are always unfavorable, which are just pushing us away from Krishna, how can we make progress? So that is first. Anukula Sankalpa Pratikula Savajanam. Then Rakshishati iti Vishwasa. Oh, I'm taking such a big decision. Yeah, Rakshishati iti Vishwasa. Yes, Krishna will protect. Uh, Krishna will protect. And oh, by the way, I am not the doer. Goptatve Varnam Tata. Krishna is the maintainer. I am not the maintainer. He is maintaining. So why should I worry? I will do my duty. That's all. Then Atmanikshepa. Surrendering, giving up completely. Like I'm a servant. I'm a servant. That's all. His house is a temple of Krishna. I'm a servant. And literally being in that mood. And that requires humility. Karpanya. So if we are in this mood all the time, 24 hours, 365 days, then we have surrendered. And then as devotees, actually we have to make note of this, saying that, okay, what all am I, how much have I surrendered? How much faith do I have in Krishna? How many decisions of my life are favorable? Or what things are unfavorable? Do I have the faith in Krishna to, drop this which is unfavorable to me? Right? How much faith do I have in Krishna? Krishna's protection. How much do I really believe that Krishna is the maintainer? Hmm. And eventually, yeah, can I think of myself just as a servant of the house, and just a servant of all jivas, servant of all Vaishnavas? Hmm. No expectation of any honor, no nothing, no retaliation, no, defending ourselves. Somebody ill treats us, just accepting it. To that extent, we have surrendered. So it's very easy actually. We don't have to go and ask anybody. We can just evaluate ourselves. How much have we surrendered to Krishna? Full surrender means fully all these six things. Meaning we should not find even a single instance where any of these six sanghas are being violated. That is full surrender. So to the extent of our surrender, we will become free. Because Krishna is saying one who surrenders, to that extent he will become free. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Mameva ye prapadyante, ye yatha mam prapadyante. Surrender unto me to the extent of their surrender, I will take care of them. So the surrender should be our real mantra. Mm. Actually, if we are doing bhakti properly, we should automatically come to the stage of surrender. Nobody can say I become a great devotee and without surrendering to Krishna. It's not possible at all. And nobody can say, no, 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 I do service so nicely, uh, you know. Uh, but these other things are also required. I also want to maintain position. I want to earn so much of wealth. No, then it's just the service also then is materially tinged, possibly. And so we have to understand this is a There is no hypocrisy possible here. There is no, you know, what is that, Jekyll and Hyde kind of. There are no two personalities here. There's only one personality. And how can we understand this? Simply, we have to remember all our great acharyas, mm, Srila Prabhupada, uh, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our Goswamis, how they lived. Mm, When Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were working for the Nawab, right? They were really, they were completely upset in what they were doing. And after a certain stage, they just said, no, enough. Enough is enough. I can't continue to do this anymore. Mm. And then they just gave it up. That's all. Like they left all money, everything away like stool. They didn't care for it. So if we can be as fixed as they are, then they just gave up everything. And they were like living under a tree. Uh, every day one tree. This is full surrender. Full surrender. Mm, We don't have to be like them, but at least, okay, we can, maybe we cannot be like them. I shouldn't say we should not be like them. Maybe we cannot be like them. But at least in whatever comfortable situation Krishna has put us in, at least we should put everything behind Krishna, behind his service. Mm. Should have faith. We should have faith and we should surrender. There's no other way, actually. Because eventually everybody has to come to this state. Otherwise we can't make progress. क्वचित् तत्त्वावमर्शेण निवृत्तं भयमुल्बणम् अनिवृत्तनिमित्तत्वात् पुनः प्रत्यवतिष्ठते. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again since its cause has not ceased. So this is for the Gnanis. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. Bhagavad Gita states, Icha Dvesha Samuthena Dvandva Mohena Bharata. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. Icha, desire to lord it over, and Dvesha, envy. Uh, Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. And then envy, when one becomes envious of Krishna, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all and all? I am as good as Krishna. These two items of desire to be the Lord and envy to the Lord of the beginning cause of material bondage. Now we might think, okay, I am not thinking I am as good as Krishna. Why not? We are actually thinking I'm as good as Krishna because I am entitled to enjoy. Krishna is the only enjoyer. I'm saying, no, no, because I'm as good as Krishna, I also should enjoy. So we are in this, stuck in this Ichha Dvesha, envy of Krishna. As long as a philosopher, salvationist, or voidist has some desire to be supreme, be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains and there's no question of his liberation. So this whole impersonalism itself is to become one, to become equal. So then how can they actually get liberated? Devahuti very brilliantly says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed. But actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research in knowledge is actually achieved. So unless these jnanis come and surrender to Krishna, their whole, they simply wasted time. Because this propensity of Ichha Dvesha still exists. There's a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. Bhagavatam says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There's no other result. The labor of speculation is ended by exhaustion. One just becomes tired of speculating. Then Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Gnanavan Mam Prapati. The real person in knowledge comes and surrenders to Krishna. The example is given that there is no benefit of in husking the skin of an empty paddy. Rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage. For the cause exists. That cause is the envy of Krishna. One has to nullify the cause, then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So the cause, hmm, the cause is this Icha and Dvesha, this false ego wanting to lord over. Hmm. So till that cause exists, hmm, even if somebody goes on speculating, hmm, uh, they cannot come out of it because the cause exists. Cause is not stopped, which means that the only way is to surrender and give up this Icha and Dvesha. As long as we maintain this Icha and Dvesha, we can't get out of this material world. Even if somebody wants liberation, they still cannot achieve it because they still want to enjoy by merging into Brahman. So they have to come to devotion. Okay, let me stop here if there are any questions, comments. So mainly the focus of today's discussion has been on surrender. If there's anything connected, we can discuss. Okay, no questions. Let's close here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mansa kalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhu devata patitana pavana vaishnava Antakoti Vaishnava ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam.